Hello guys, welcome to Upside Investment. This is Rushabh, and in today's stock analysis, we'll be talking about Bharat Heavy Electronics Limited. So, company recently came up with the Q1 FY27 result, and it created buzz on Dalal Street. Like many brokerages from were divided, like whether this share is going to hit 200 first, or there is a possibility that this stock can head towards 800 and it can double from here. So we'll deep dive into company, like what is the fundamental shift happening in the company, what are the growth engine, and where this share is headed. We'll look into that into technically also. So let's start with the video. So before understanding or building the conviction on any stock, we need to understand like what is the core business of the BHEL. Okay, so to understand the business, you need to understand like how the power sector value chain looks like. Okay, so suppose let's take an example, a power generation company. Let's take NTPC. Okay, NTPC wants to set up a new power plant. So it government wants to new set up a new power plant. So it gives order to NTPC. Okay, to set up 800 megawatt of power plant. So what does NTPC does? It tells L&T to set up a power plant to supply the power to the household, to the industries. It takes help of the power grid. To produce the power, it requires coal. So it asks for the coal to the Coal India. And where does BHEL come? Okay, so understand this. If you are setting up the power plant, inside that power plant, you requires boilers, you require steam engine, you require generators, you require large turbines to set up the power plant. Because how the power is produced, okay, the coal is burned, from the burnt coal the steam is produced, from that steam a turbine is there. So from turbine, what I would say, a thermal energy gets converted into mechanical energy, and then it is supplied to you and me, right? So this is the core business. So first part is designing of the turbines and generators. Okay, so R&D, BHEL does R&D, then manufacturing of those turbines and generator, and then supply of those things to, what I would say, to end user. Like small portion of the business come from the transmission, that is not much heavy business. And apart from that, some of the EPC business also, like I said, right, some of the if you want to set up 800 megawatt of power plant, NTPC wants to set up, so some of the order like 10, 20, 100 megawatt of, what I would say, capacity is set up end to end by BHEL. But this is very small portion. Majority of the portion comes from the manufacturing of this thing, and major growth for the company is also coming from this thing only. And last is, what I would say, maintenance kind of thing. So whatever the equipment they are supplying inside the power plant, they are maintaining that also, because it requires maintenance. So currently BHEL order book stands as 2,60,000 crore. If you compare this 3 years prior, so company was having order book of 1.4 lakh crore, and it has scaled to almost more than 80% in last 3 years. So we should think like what is happening, why the growth is coming into this stock, why this stock is rising, and whether the fundamental shift is happening or not. So this was just a core business of the BHEL. Let's dive deep into the core business of the BHEL. So currently the order book is divided. 81% of the order come from the power sector. That's the core business of the BHEL. BHEL is into rail mobility and, what I would say, defense manufacturing, but that is very small portion of the revenue. That comes into 17%. Majority of the revenue comes from power sector, and within the power sector, the core thing is thermal power. So we need to understand like why the growth is coming inside the thermal power. Okay, so during 2013-14, when government came, they wanted to focus more towards the solar and wind energy. So they diverted their main focus on solar and wind. But what's the problem with the solar and wind? Like धूप सुबह होती है, दोपहर में होती है. It is not there in night, right? Same goes for the wind. Wind is there in some part of the country. It's not there in the other part. So these conventional, what I would say, solar and wind energy are not able to meet end user demand, that is power usage demand, consistently. So there was not major capex happening in the thermal power from 2011 to 2021-22. But government realized that the, what I would say, power deficit is facing throughout the country. So we should push towards the thermal power plant. So that's where the growth is coming. That's why post FY22, government started rolling out the orders for thermal power generation. So that's the core thing. Okay. And this slide explains like the peak power demand for the India is 270 to 280 gigawatt. So understand this, what do we mean by India's peak power demand? So let's take अगर आप समर सीजन में हो, तो समर सीजन में रात में यूजुअली सबसे ज्यादा पावर डिमांड होता है. क्यों? बिकॉज मेजोरिटी ऑफ द घर पे पंखे चल रहे हैं, पीपल आर यूजिंग एसीज, पीपल आर यूजिंग कूलर. So to meet all India's demand, power demand, we need capacity of 270 to 280 gigawatt. Okay. Currently, India is having 250 gigawatt. So there is headroom for growth, and this number is increasing consistently at more than 7%. 7 to 8% increase in power consumption is increasing every year on year basis. So currently government is focusing on 9 to 9.5 lakh crore of capex, and within that they are focusing on renewable, that is wind and solar. Along with that they are more focusing on the thermal also. And recently government has kept a target of what I would say 100 gigawatt from nuclear plant, currently from 8 gigawatt, and BHEL is major player into this also. But this is for the future growth, not as of now. For as of now we have to focus on uh, what I would say that thermal energy. Okay. So whenever we look at any company growing at more than 40% their revenue, like if you compare quarter one FY27 result with the previous year quarter, we get to know that company is growing at more than 40%. Company was posting loss, they have EBITDA positive. Company is posting profit. So what is the fundamental shift happening inside the company? As an investor, as a trader, we should think that. So I'll explain you in simple language. Okay. Let's take an example. You have a factory of earbuds. Okay. Earphones. So into your factory, you can manufacture 100 earbuds in a quarter. Okay. Or in a year. But you are not getting enough orders. You are getting orders of 20, 30. So you are manufacturing 20 or 30 earbuds. But from your perspective, understanding, if I'm running a plant, I'm running a factory, okay, I have to pay employee cost. I have to pay maintenance for the machines which are using. I have to get the depreciation value of the machine. I have to, what I would say, incur any new expense which is there to run the, what I would say, a factory. But I'm not able to utilize that, the potential of that factory. Same thing is happening with BHEL. From past decade now, if you look from 15 years, like 13 14 years, from 2011 12, BHEL is having capacity to manufacture turbines, to manufacture generators, to manufacture boilers, but their plant wasn't utilizing because they were not getting orders, as simple as that. But what has happened in past FY22, they are getting order, and their execution is increasing day by day. That's why we are getting this growth into the company of 40% growth into the revenue. Also for these kind of company, the quarter 3 and quarter 4 are the most heaviest quarter, because of the, what I would say, because this is how India financial system works. Majority of the manufacturing company post their revenues and profit into the last 2 quarters. So it's not good to compare this company on quarter basis, because if we'll compare Q1 FY27 with Q4 of FY26, this number might look weak. But actually, if you compare it on year basis, this company is posting very good numbers, and the execution has also increased, and market is betting on the execution of BHEL only. Because earlier also, like from FY19 to FY22, company posted, I remember, 2 years, like 8 quarters of losses. That's why share price was not rising that much compared to the market. But right now, if you compare BHEL with the broader market from past, what I would say, 3 months, the share is up more than 50%. So it should raise our ears, like why the share is rising. is the fundamental shift happening in the company. Okay. And if you look at the balance sheet of the company also, company debt to equity ratio is 0.10. This is the lowest debt the company has. So company has a good chance that going forward, if they want to fund the growth, they can get more depth on their book. They have the cushion for that. Also, the company net worth is also increasing. If you compare this with last year, then net worth has risen more than 20%. And what is net worth? Net worth is asset minus liability. Okay, so this shows that company is getting good margins. They are getting profit. They are improving their cash flow. Okay, and if you compare the company with what I would say their peers like ABB, Siemens, G, Vernova, TND. So why BHEL doesn't get that much valuation? Like EV per EBITDA, if you compare, they are not getting valuation compared to this because of this EBITDA margin. And this EBITDA margin 1 year prior was close to around 5% or 4%. In past 1 year, it has risen more than 80 or 100%. And their execution is increasing. So if BHEL consistently for next 1 year outperforms and delivers on track execution of the manufacturing of the turbine, EPC project, generators. So this stock, the BHEL has a high chance that going forward it can command premium with this private players also. This is a PSU company, guys. We know that execution track record has not been good, but that's how there is always an uncertainty in the market. But we have to accept this and to learn and evolve like what is going to happen going forward. So this is the way you can compare the company. And let's go into technically also. Like if you look at the chart now, see, this is the BHEL monthly chart. Okay. And if you compare this company, okay, this company was at 380 in 2007. So just understand if somebody might have invested in 2007, 8 over here or over here, do you think these investor might be sitting till now, last 10, 15 years? No, right? And even if the somebody would have sitting over here, they would have not made good profit, right? So that's why going forward, if you look chart on a weekly basis, the stock is breaking out of a multi-year high. The stock is breaking out of a multi-year high, and there is a good possibility from here on, if this stock sustains the level of 400, anything can happen on an intraday or daily chart basis, guys. But if this stock sustain 400 level and if management executes the good orders which it is having, this stock has a high chance to double in next 1 to 2 years. And you can look the same with the ABB share price. Like since ABB share, like the share price of ABB was 1200, it hit 1200 in 2021, and in next 2 3 years the stock went 3 4x. Same goes with Siemens. If you look at Siemens, Siemens hit a high of 461. Okay, but somehow over here it tried to broke out, but it didn't broke. Then it broke over here in 2020 2021, and then stock went on to become 3 4x. So the same possibility is there with BHEL. So that's it, guys, from this video. Hope you liked it. There is nothing a buy sell recommendation, but this is how I am thinking, and this is how I think like people should evaluate any stock. So if you like the video, do subscribe the channel and do like the video and share it with your friends. Till then, thank you.